we take a trip to Las Vegas to find the most unique eats.
Hash House A Go-Go.
The dish that draws the most attention is their fried chicken and bacon waffle tower.
Aburiya Raku.
One of their signature dishes is their homemade tofu.
This tofu may be the most photographed and tweeted about and Facebook tofu you've ever seen.
First, food and bar.
Monkey bread is insane.
When it comes out of the oven, all you can see is these balls stuck together and juice running down the sides and through the middle. Who doesn't want to eat that?
Holstein's shakes and buns.
At Holstein's, they have nachos, but it's kind of like through the looking glass. It looks like nachos, but everything in it is sweet, and it's a dessert.
These are unique eats.
People say Texas is big. Vegas is big. Big casinos, big buffets, big butts, all over the place. Vegas is big, but there's nothing bigger than the portions at Hash House A Go-Go.
Hash House A Go-Go.
I'm listening up.
The food at Hash House A Go-Go they call twisted farm food.
Twisted farm food is all the things that you grew up with, all your old school grandma recipes, and you freak it out. You recognize it when you see it, but it just has that twist to it. Honestly, it just makes it Hash House.
The dish that gets the most attention at Hash House A Go-Go is the sage fried chicken and bacon waffle tower. It's a mouthful, it's gigantic, it's piled up. It's probably bigger than most buildings in Vegas.
Let's start with the chicken. The breading is unique. They're using pastry flour and cornstarch that creates a very tender and crispy crust. They're seasoning it with sage and Old Bay seasoning.
Now, the surprise ingredient in that is cornflakes. They get them crushed and blended with the dry ingredients, and these cornflakes are going to add a great crunch to the outside coating.
The fried chicken is served with waffles, but not just a plain buttermilk waffle. They're adding strips of crispy bacon to the waffle iron.
The bacon kind of sticks out from the inside of the waffle, right from the corners of it.
Now it's time to build the tower. At the base, the bacon waffle, and then 2 pieces of fried chicken.
The sauce on the fried chicken is a reduction of maple syrup. We take cold butter and whisk it in, so it's almost like a reduced maple syrup caramel.
So be sure to ask for more syrup.
And an insulin injection.
A huge sprig of fresh rosemary is jammed down the center, and then a generous handful of fried leeks is drizzled over top. Barbecue sauce, a confetti of chopped bell peppers, and pear-shaped yellow tomatoes.
There's a lot in this dish that's all about securing this amazing tower of waffle and chicken to the plate. I mean, just getting it to the table is a challenge.
People are blown away when you're delivering a portion of food the size of a small child.
You could basically feed an entire village of strippers with one dish.
Chicken is moist, crust is super crispy, and the waffle with this bacon running through it. I was delighted to see that.
I know this dish is outrageous, but it did say tower in the description, so, I mean, it's your bad if you're not fully aware that there's going to be something totally ridiculous coming to your table.
The signature sandwich at Hash House A Go-Go is the Kokomo. Think meatloaf sandwiches your mom might have made, but better. Sorry, Mom.
Everybody grew up with meatloaf. I mean, you always have it left over. What do you do with it? Heat it up, make a sandwich out of it.
The meatloaf was made the day before, and it's definitely a loaf of meat. We're talking ground beef, pork sausage, pork tenderloin, and a lot of bacon. Did I say a lot of bacon? A lot of bacon.
It's sliced cold so it can hold its shape, and then it gets heated on the flat top, sort of like a steak.
Instead of ketchup, they're using roasted whole peeled tomatoes that have been crushed and seasoned with garlic and basil.
Melted cheese also goes into the sandwich, but they're not just melting it onto the bread. Instead, they're putting the cheese on the flat top so that it becomes almost like a cheese cracker.
All this stuff gets stacked together with some toasted bread. and the plate is finished with barbecue sauce, bell pepper confetti, and spaghetti that has been deep fried as a garnish. My God.
The design of this dish takes that meatloaf sandwich to another level simply because you've got the texture of that cheese wafer cracker thing. You've got basically a homemade ketchup. The nuances of the meat are interesting. If you appreciate good flavor, it's got everything going for it.
Did I finish my kokomo? No.
I kind of felt like I needed a colonoscopy after eating it.
At the end of the day, it's not about finishing your dish and eating responsibly. It's Sin City, after all. You're going there to get into it. And at Hash House A Go-Go, there is no choice. You're in it.
I love it. It's home style, and you get a lot for your money.
They're making comfort food, but they're letting you always know, you're in Vegas, Dorothy. You're not in Kansas anymore.
I think the best restaurant in Vegas is Raku.
The food is just bonkers awesome. It's like taking a quick jaunt to Japan.
Holstein's is really known for their milkshakes and floats, and they are not shy about creating the unusual flavor combinations.
There's this road off the strip called Spring Mountain Road, and it's the virtual Asia town of Las Vegas. So many people have come from all these Asian countries to work in the casinos, and what you find are these pockets of authentic Asian communities that are making really delicious food.
Raku is this amazing oasis inside a shopping plaza.
Chef owner Mitsuo Endo was born and raised in Tokyo, and that's where he started his cooking career.
The intimacy of the space itself, let alone the food, is a complete different universe, galaxy, world of the energy that you find on the Strip in Las Vegas.
One of their signature dishes is their homemade tofu. I dream about this tofu.
Raku's tofu is actually very simple to make. It's just like every other great food item. All it requires is attention and a little love.
What is tofu made of? Soybeans, that's it. They soak dried soybeans overnight and then place them into a blender. So they essentially make a soybean puree.
That soy milk is then heated for just 10 minutes and strained through a cloth as well as a fine mesh sieve. Then it's cooked briefly just a second time.
Now, the temperature and the cook time for the soy milk is very important here because they add nigari, which is an enzyme from the sea. As it gets swirled in, the soy milk begins to slightly thicken. After another 30 to 40 minutes, the tofu is ready to be then scooped right into baskets.
After it cools down to room temperature, the tofu is placed in a refrigerator so all the excess liquid slowly drains out.
It actually doesn't need anything. I could eat this tofu by itself. But it comes with ginger, scallions, and bonito flakes, which all give it some aromatics, a little sharpness, some umami from the bonito flakes, a meaty essence, if you will.
It melts in your mouth when eating this beautiful creation of tofu.
It's a cloud of soy that is like, it's like the best ricotta cheese you've ever had, except it's tofu.
If you don't want cold tofu, you can also get your tofu hot. And agadashi tofu, who doesn't love agadashi tofu?
Age means to fry, so agemono is fried food in Japanese. So agadashi tofu is tofu that's sitting in this dashi broth. It's garnished with green onions, dried seaweed, and salmon roe for that briny bite.
This tofu may be the most photographed and tweeted about and Facebook tofu you've ever seen. So if you're gonna go to Vegas, you better have it.
You get that smoky flavor of the bonito, that umami from the kombu, and it's just like caressing this fried ball of like amazing.
This is the real tofu here.
The real deal.
This is the real deal. Like he said, my brother.
In the kitchen, there's a traditional robotic grill, and that's where they grill skewers of meat, seafood, or vegetables over charcoal.
It is a really fun way to try something really simple, like chicken, but presented 3 different ways. I mean, you can get chicken thigh, chicken breast, chicken wrapped in a